At the beginning of the drama, we see a woman standing on a rooftop while talking to someone on the phone. She looks extremely worried and disturbed. In a trembling voice, she tells the person on the other end, "You want me to die, right? Then let it be." After saying this, she hangs up the phone without saying anything else and suddenly jumps from the rooftop. Meanwhile, a little girl notices that the woman is nowhere around, so she starts looking for her. As she walks around searching, she eventually reaches the rooftop, and the moment she gets there, she sees the woman jumping right in front of her eyes. The little girl becomes terrified and starts screaming. Just then, a girl named Nian suddenly wakes up from her sleep, and now we realize that everything we just saw was actually Nian's nightmare. But this nightmare is connected to a painful memory from reality. 10 years ago, Nian's mother really did jump from this same rooftop and died right in front of Nian's eyes. And even after all these years, that horrifying memory still haunts Nian in her dreams. Anyway, in the next scene, we see Nian getting ready after freshening up because she has to go to work. While she is on the road, a woman approaches her and tells her that her father's business is suffering huge losses, so they will have to shut down the school that was specially built for disabled children. But Nian immediately refuses to accept this. Since Nian cannot speak, she communicates through gestures and makes it clear that the school was created by her mother, so she will never allow anyone to close it. After hearing this, the woman doesn't argue with her. Instead, she simply asks Nian to get into her car. Nian has no idea what is about to happen, so she gets into the car. The woman then takes her to a deserted place. Before Nian can understand what is going on, two men suddenly appear and knock her unconscious. Later, we find out that the woman's name is Jia, and she is actually Nian's stepmother. When Nian finally regains consciousness, she finds herself lying on a bed. As it turns out, her stepmother had sold Nian to a man. The moment Nian realizes that she is inside a hotel room, she desperately starts looking for a way to escape, but some dangerous men are already chasing after her. Nian runs through the hotel as fast as she can, trying to get away from them. During this time, she notices a waiter and desperately asks him for help through her gestures. The waiter immediately understands that she is in trouble. He quickly pushes Nian inside a nearby room so that the bad men chasing her won't be able to find her. Inside that room, we see a young man named Ming. Someone had secretly mixed a harmful drug into Ming's food, and because of its effects, he is suffering from severe chest pain. He is struggling badly and can barely control himself. Just then, Ming notices Nian inside his room and asks her, "Who are you?" Nian tries to explain through gestures that some bad people are chasing her, so she had no choice but to hide inside this room to protect herself. Actually, Nian is mute, which is why she cannot explain anything through words and has to communicate using hand gestures. But Ming doesn't really understand what she is trying to say, and suddenly the effect of the drugs becomes much stronger. Ming loses control and starts forcing himself on Nian. Nian desperately struggles to free herself, and after a lot of effort, she manages to escape from him and tries to run away from the room. But there is something else we notice during this terrifying moment. While Ming was forcing himself on Nian, someone was secretly hiding nearby and taking pictures of the entire incident. Then, in the next scene, we see Nian returning home after escaping from the hotel. And the moment she gets home, she sees her stepmother. Nian's stepmother throws a shoe at her. Even after this, Nian doesn't stay silent. She tells her father everything that happened to her. But instead of supporting his daughter, Nian's father takes his second wife's side. Seeing this, Nian tells her father, "As long as I am alive, you will never be able to destroy my mother's school." Hearing this, her father suddenly slaps her and angrily says, "If you ever mention that shameless woman's name again, you'll regret it." Meanwhile, we see Ming at his office, where his assistant comes to him and shows him a picture of a girl. The assistant tells him, "We sent this girl to your room last night." But when Ming carefully looks at the picture, he immediately realizes something is wrong. The girl in the picture is not the same girl who came into his room that night. Meanwhile, Nian's stepsister shows their father the pictures of Nian and Ming that have gone viral online. She tells him that it seems like something is going on between Nian and Ming. Seeing the pictures, Nian's stepmother becomes furious and says that this girl is going to destroy their entire family. She reminds everyone that Nian's mother had previously been involved with Ming's father, and now Nian is supposedly having an inappropriate relationship with Ming. On the other hand, when Ming sees that pictures of him and Nian have gone viral, he decides that he has no choice but to tell everyone that Nian is actually his future wife. Of course, this is a lie. Ming only plans to use this story to control the situation and stop the rumors surrounding the viral pictures. So, without wasting any time, Ming immediately goes looking for Nian. Meanwhile, Nian's stepmother secretly kidnaps her again that night and puts her inside an old businessman's car. But just then, Ming arrives at the scene. The moment he sees what is happening, he becomes suspicious and realizes that Nian is in danger. So, Ming immediately goes to rescue her. He takes on all the thugs and beats them up badly, successfully saving Nian. After protecting her, Ming tells Nian to come with him. This time, Nian doesn't refuse and goes with him. When they reach Ming's house, he gives Nian a fake engagement contract and asks her to sign it. Nian looks at the papers and says that she is willing to do whatever is necessary, but asks if this fake engagement is really necessary. Ming immediately tells her that this is actually the most important part of their plan. He even tells Nian that he will pay her like a regular worker for playing the role of his fiancée. While Ming is explaining the details of the contract with his back turned toward Nian, Nian suddenly receives a call from the principal of her mother's school. Without telling Ming anything, she quietly leaves the room to take the call. Seeing Nian suddenly leave without saying anything, Ming becomes extremely angry. The next day, Nian comes back to Ming's house and tells him that she is ready to agree to everything, but she has one condition. In exchange, Ming must buy her mother's special school for disabled children from her father, so that the school doesn't fall into the wrong hands. However, Ming is not interested in agreeing to this condition. Seeing that he refuses, Nian starts getting closer to him in order to convince him. She deliberately acts affectionate and tries to persuade him. After seeing Nian's behavior, Ming finally agrees to her condition. But he immediately warns her that he absolutely hates women who keep throwing themselves at him and getting too close. In other words, it is pretty clear that Ming wants Nian to maintain her distance from him. However, he explains that since she will be playing the role of his future wife, she can act close to him in front of other people. She must treat him the way a future wife would treat her future husband. He also tells her that from now on, she will live in his house, but they will sleep in separate rooms. After saying all this, Ming goes back to his room. But once he is alone, he starts feeling bad about himself because he realizes that he spoke to Nian quite harshly. Anyway, a little later, Nian comes to him and explains that she doesn't have any clothes suitable for wearing, so she needs to go back to her house and bring some clothes for herself. Hearing this, Ming tells her that there is no need to go anywhere because he has already instructed his people to buy new clothes for her. Nian simply nods and returns to her room. That night, neither of them talks to each other. They simply sleep in their separate rooms. The next day, Ming takes Nian to his father's house. As soon as Ming's grandfather sees Nian, he pulls Ming aside and asks him angrily, "Of all the girls in the world, you couldn't find anyone else to marry? Don't you know that this girl's mother destroyed your father's life?" Hearing this, Ming simply smiles and tells his grandfather that he is doing all of this for business. He says that once the right time comes, he will personally leave Nian. Hearing this, his grandfather becomes quite happy because he believes Ming has no real feelings for Nian. Meanwhile, Ming's aunt starts saying bad things about Nian. Nian hears everything and decides not to stay quiet. Since she cannot speak, she uses gestures to tell the woman that she wasn't the one chasing after Ming. Instead, Ming himself is crazy about her. As Nian is getting ready for the press conference, Ming's assistant approaches him. But this time, it is Nian's stepsister who comes to Ming and starts saying all kinds of bad things about Nian. However, Ming doesn't pay much attention to her words. Then, when Ming and Nian finally appear in front of the press, another problem suddenly comes up. A picture of Nian with another man goes viral, and the media starts questioning her about it. They surround her with questions and make all kinds of accusations. Seeing Nian getting cornered by the reporters, Ming immediately takes her away from there. But as we later find out, all of this was actually planned by Nian's stepmother. She had been trying to separate Nian and Ming from the very beginning, and this fake scandal was another part of her plan. Anyway, after returning to the room, Nian tries to explain to Ming that the picture is completely fake, but Ming tells her not to worry about it. Instead, he immediately sends his own people to investigate who created and spread the fake news. He orders them to find the culprit as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, when Nian goes into the next room, Ming's assistant comes to him. The assistant tells Ming that the whole situation has already been resolved, so he should simply tell the media that Nian cheated on him and that he is breaking up with her. According to the assistant, this would be the easiest way for Ming to get rid of Nian. But Ming doesn't listen to this advice. He simply tells his assistant to focus on his own work. Unfortunately, Nian overhears their entire conversation from the next room. She becomes extremely hurt and tells Ming that she is willing to admit everything and tell the media that the pictures of her and Ming are fake. But Ming stops her from doing anything like that. Meanwhile, reporters begin questioning Nian's stepmother and stepsister. Instead of defending Nian, Both women make several terrible comments about her in front of the media. Seeing this, Ming finally steps forward and faces the reporters himself. He firmly tells them that Nian is his fiancée, so anyone who tries to spread rumors or damage her reputation will not get away with it. He also says that the person responsible for this will be punished very soon. By now, Ming has already realized that Nian's stepmother and stepsister are behind the entire scandal. Then, in the next scene, Nian is about to return to her room when she suddenly notices her stepmother talking to another woman. Nian immediately recognizes her. This is the same woman who used to take care of Nian's mother many years ago. The next morning, Nian cleverly gets this woman's phone number from Ming's assistant. After getting the number, Nian tells the assistant that she is taking the day off and will be going back to her family home. She asks him to inform Ming about it. When Nian arrives at her old home, her father and the rest of the family completely ignore her. They even tell her to leave the house. Hearing this, Nian becomes extremely hurt. But later, she goes into the garden and starts talking to her father about her childhood memories. As Nian reminds him of the old days, her father also becomes emotional. Because of this, he finally allows Nian to stay at the house until dinner. Meanwhile, after Nian leaves, Ming keeps asking his assistant about her again and again. The assistant notices this and asks, "Are you worried about Miss Nian?" Although Ming clearly seems concerned about her, he immediately denies it. He simply says that he needs to discuss something with Nian's father, so he decides to go to her family home. However, when Ming arrives and meets Nian, he tells her that she should return home with him, but Nian tells him that she has decided to stay there for the night. Hearing this, Ming calls his assistant and informs him that he will also be staying at Nian's house that night. After entering the house, Ming behaves very politely toward Nian's father, but Nian's father completely ignores him and avoids talking to him. Then, when night comes, the family gives Ming and Nian only one room to stay in. Seeing this, Ming looks around the room and asks Nian why her room is so plain. Nian explains that this is actually her room and that she normally stays here while studying at school. She then asks Ming to sleep in another room, but Ming refuses. He explains that if they sleep in separate rooms, everyone might start suspecting that their relationship is fake. So, because of their agreement, Nian has no choice but to share the room with Ming. However, she refuses to share the bed with him. Instead, she makes a separate bed on the floor and lies down there. Later that night, Ming starts bothering Nian again and asks her to tell him a story. Nian has no choice but to agree. But instead of telling him a normal story, she decides to tell him a horror story. As Nian continues telling the scary story, Ming becomes uncomfortable and finally says, Okay, that's enough. You don't have to tell me any more stories." After saying this, Nian becomes quiet and tries to go back to sleep. But after a little while, she suddenly notices that Ming has come and is lying beside her. Seeing this, Nian tells him to go back to his own bed. But Ming starts bothering her and says, "You were the one who scared me with that ghost story. Now I'm scared to sleep alone." Hearing this, Nian takes out her phone and plays some music for him so that he can calm down. And within a short time, Ming's fear disappears. He then quietly goes back to his own bed and starts sleeping again. The next day, Ming talks to Nian's father and asks him to sell his shares to him. He explains that if he waits much longer, the value of those shares will drop even further. Hearing this, Nian's father gets angry and immediately walks away. Nian follows him. Then her father asks her, "You have been talking to me so nicely since yesterday, just because you want me to sell my shares to Ming, right?" Nian tells him that she didn't do any of that for this reason. She says that she simply loves her father and wants to have a good relationship with him. Hearing his daughter say this, her father's heart finally melts. He agrees to sell his shares to Ming. Then, in the next scene, we see Ming trying to learn how to communicate through sign language. But just then, Nian comes to him and tells him that she is going outside for a while. Before Ming can even ask her where she is going, Nian leaves. Later that night, Ming notices Nian secretly going somewhere. He quietly follows her and sees her talking to a man in private. Ming secretly takes a picture of the man and sends it to his people. He tells them to find out everything they can about this man, no matter what it takes. Meanwhile, while Nian is returning home that night, she once again runs into the same businessman sent by her stepmother. The man forces Nian into his car and once again tries to take advantage of her. But just then, Ming arrives. He immediately attacks the businessman and beats him up badly, protecting Nian from him. However, Nian doesn't look well at all after what happened. When they finally return home, Ming carefully applies medicine to Nian's injured body. Nian tries to tell him something, but Ming cannot understand her gestures. So, when Nian leans over Ming to pick up her phone, Ming suddenly finds her extremely close to him. He becomes so happy and flustered that he literally passes out. Nian quickly catches him before he falls. Actually, Ming's body had already become extremely weak because of the fight with the businessman. That's why Nian decides to prepare some healthy food for him. Later that night, when Ming finally regains consciousness, he sees that Nian has prepared many different dishes for him and arranged everything neatly on the table. Seeing all this, Nian suddenly looks less like his fake fiancé and more like his real wife. Anyway, Ming sits down and starts eating. Just then, his assistant calls him and gives him some important information. He tells Ming that the man Nian had been talking to is actually a detective. As it turns out, Nian had hired this detective to investigate the real reason behind her mother's death. However, the detective had demanded too much money, so Nian became disappointed and had to leave without hiring him. After hearing this, Ming immediately tells his assistant, "Tell that detective to start working. I'll pay him whatever he needs." Meanwhile, just as Nian is about to sleep, she receives a call from the detective. When she learns that the detective has agreed to investigate her mother's death, she becomes extremely happy. The next morning, Ming gets ready early because, after purchasing the new shares, he has to attend a press conference with Nian's father. Nian also gets dressed beautifully, and the moment Ming sees her, he becomes completely mesmerized by how beautiful she looks. At the press conference, Nian's stepmother is also present. As soon as she arrives, she starts creating her usual drama. Then Nian finally arrives at the event. Some of her stepmother's friends approach her and say, "Your mother loves you so much. That's why you were lucky enough to get such a wonderful man." Hearing this, Nian walks straight toward her stepmother. She pretends that she is going to pour herself a drink, but instead, she deliberately spills the drink all over her stepmother. Then, Nian calmly gives her stepmother another dress and tells her to change. When Nian's stepmother enters the room to change clothes, she is completely shocked to see what Nian has given her. It is actually an air hostess uniform. Just then, Nian enters the room and says, "What?" Nian looks at her stepmother and asks why she is so shocked to see the air hostess uniform. She then reminds her, "Did you forget that you used to be an air hostess? And your daughter isn't even the daughter of your ex-husband. She is actually my father's illegitimate daughter." Hearing this, Nian's stepmother doesn't even try to deny it. Instead, she says, "Yes, everything you're saying is true, and your father knows all of it too." After admitting this, Nian's stepmother starts saying terrible things about Nian's mother. Nian cannot tolerate it anymore, and the argument between the two of them quickly turns into a heated confrontation. Meanwhile, Nian's father is about to begin the meeting, but suddenly, a video appears on the huge screen in the room. It shows Nian and her stepmother arguing with each other. In the footage, Nian's stepmother says that Nian's father was the one who chased after her first. She also says that Nian's mother couldn't even stop him from getting involved with her. Then she adds that even if Nian's mother had still been alive, she would never have been able to stop her husband from being with her. Hearing this, Ming and Nian's father immediately rush into the room. But instead of supporting his daughter, Nian's father protects his wife and starts treating Nian harshly. Nian becomes extremely hurt by her father's behavior. Seeing this, Ming finally speaks up. He tells Nian's father that he is simply hiding his wife's mistakes while silencing an innocent person. Meanwhile, Nian's stepmother tries to make herself look innocent in front of Nian's father. She says that she only did all of this for her daughter because Nian's father had never truly accepted her daughter as his own. Nian's father then leaves to handle the situation outside. Nian immediately follows him, but her stepmother tries to stop her. Nian pushes her aside and attempts to leave. However, her stepsister suddenly attacks Nian with a knife. Luckily, Ming steps in front of Nian just in time. As a result, the knife cuts Ming's hand instead. But the moment Ming sees his own blood, he completely loses consciousness. He is immediately taken to the hospital. After examining him, the doctor explains that Ming has a condition that causes him to become extremely frightened when he sees blood or witnesses an accident. Then the story takes us back into Ming's past. When Ming was a little boy, he was once returning home from school when he heard that someone had jumped from a balcony. Without really understanding what had happened, young Ming ran toward the scene to see what was going on. But when he saw the horrifying sight, the experience left a deep psychological impact on him. And now, we return to the present. When Ming finally regains consciousness, the first thing he does is hug Nian. Just then, their assistant walks into the room. But when he sees Ming and Nian standing so close together, he immediately realizes that he might be interrupting something and quietly leaves. Later, Nian goes outside and meets her father. She tells him to quickly go to Ming and sign the settlement papers. Nian believes that her father has come to apologize to her, but unfortunately, that's not why he came. Instead, her father starts talking harshly to her. Seeing her father's attitude, Nian becomes extremely hurt. Then her father tells her that her mother had betrayed him. Nian refuses to believe this. She reassures him that her mother never betrayed him, and she promises that she will prove the truth herself. She then makes a deal with her father. She says that if she can prove that her mother never betrayed him, then he must divorce his second wife. Not only that, he must give his other daughter only 5% of his property and transfer the remaining property to Nian. Hearing this, Nian's father agrees. After all, for the moment, he needs Ming's signature on the settlement documents. Anyway, when Nian returns home and asks Ming to sign the papers, Ming doesn't even ask her what they are about. He simply signs them. Then the scene shifts. Nian takes the signed papers and returns to her father's house. But when she arrives, she sees that her stepmother is still living there. Nian looks at her father and asks, "Why haven't you thrown this woman out of the house yet?" Her father calmly replies that the divorce has only just happened, so how can he throw her out immediately? He also reminds Nian that her mother died by suicide and insists that her stepmother had nothing to do with her death. He asks Nian not to be so cruel. Just then, Ming arrives at the house. Ming has also brought Nian's mother's old caretaker with him. The caretaker finally tells Nian's father the whole truth. She explains that she used to give Nian's mother medicine for depression, but Nian's stepmother had bribed her and told her to give Nian's mother a much higher dose of the medicine. Hearing this, Nian's father becomes completely shocked. He immediately asks his wife about it, but Nian's stepmother starts denying everything. And surprisingly, Nian's father once again begins believing his wife's words. Seeing this, the caretaker speaks up again. She tells him that someone used to repeatedly call Nian's mother and disturb her with constant phone calls, and the person making all those calls was actually his wife, Jia. Nian's father then asks the caretaker if she still has that phone number. When she shows him the number, he becomes completely stunned. The number really belongs to Nian's stepmother. Now that Nian's stepmother has been caught, she once again tries to manipulate her husband and convince him that she is innocent. But this time, Nian's father doesn't fall for her words. He directly tells her, "Since we are already divorced, I don't want to see you in this house for even another moment." After all of this, Nian leaves the house. While on the way, she suddenly gets out of the car and walks toward the balcony of a tall building. She had been drinking and was completely drunk. When Ming finds out what Nian is doing, he immediately rushes to her and desperately tries to convince her to come down. But at that moment, Nian suddenly screams for her mother and loses consciousness. The next day, when Nian regains consciousness, she finds Ming sleeping beside her. After waking up, Ming tells her that she had been drunk and behaving strangely the previous night. That's why he had to stay there with her throughout the night. He also tells her that she kept screaming, "Mom!" Hearing this, Nian becomes completely shocked. Then she suddenly asks Ming, "Can I speak?" The moment she hears her own voice coming from her mouth, Nian is stunned. She realizes that she can finally speak again. At the same time, she becomes incredibly happy. And seeing Nian this happy, Ming also becomes happy for her. Then Ming takes Nian with him to his father's house. Everyone there becomes completely shocked when they hear Nian speaking for the first time. Later, Ming's grandfather pulls him aside and repeatedly tells him that he should leave Nian now. According to him, they no longer have any reason to keep Nian around, but Ming keeps trying to change the subject. Then Ming's grandfather offers Nian some cake. Nian politely tells him that she is allergic to cream. Hearing this, the old man immediately stops talking and walks away. The reason is that his own son was also allergic to cream. Later that night, while Ming and Nian are driving back home, Nian tells him that since both of their goals have now been completed, their contract should also end. Hearing this, Ming agrees and says, "Yes, you're right. We'll end the contract tomorrow." That night, however, neither Ming nor Nian can sleep properly. Nian keeps thinking about how easily Ming can talk about separating from her. At the same time, Ming is thinking about exactly the same thing. Both of them silently wonder how two people who have spent so much time together can suddenly separate so easily. The next morning, Ming gives Nian some documents. He tells her that his uncle was the person who took the pictures of Nian's mother, including some of the pictures that were later leaked online. Hearing this, Nian realizes something important. She says that if Ming's uncle was the one who took those pictures, then he might also be the person who can prove that her mother was innocent. So Nian decides that she needs to stay with Ming for a little longer and continue doing everything she can to clear her mother's name. Hearing this, Ming becomes secretly very happy because deep down, this is exactly what he wanted. He doesn't want Nian to leave him. Nian then tells him that his grandfather is trying to get him married. So for now, they should tell him that they are still in a relationship. Once her investigation is complete, they can separate again. Ming agrees immediately. In fact, he is more than happy with the idea because no matter what happens, he simply wants Nian to stay by his side. Meanwhile, we see Ming's grandfather. His assistant comes to him and hands him Nian's DNA test report. The moment he looks at the report, he becomes completely shocked. Ming's grandfather says, "I suspected it and I was right. Nian is actually my granddaughter." Without wasting any time, he goes to meet Ming and Nian at their house. There, Ming openly tells his grandfather that he loves Nian. Hearing this, his grandfather says that if they truly love each other, then there is nothing he can do about it. But he has one condition. He wants them to get married as soon as possible. Ming tries to avoid the idea, but his grandfather keeps insisting until Ming finally agrees to the marriage. The next day, Nian learns that Ming's grandfather has been arranging medical treatment for Ming since he was a child. Then the doctor tells Nian something very important. She explains that if Nian stays close to Ming and maintains physical contact with him, there is a possibility that his condition could improve. Hearing this, Nian agrees to stay by Ming's side. After all, Ming has already done so much for her. Now she feels that it is her turn to do something for him. When they return home, Nian slowly starts moving closer and closer to Ming. Seeing Nian coming so close to him, Ming becomes so happy that he closes his eyes, expecting something romantic. But when Nian finally comes right next to him, she asks, "Is this close enough?" Ming suddenly opens his eyes in surprise. Seeing his confused expression, Nian explains that the doctor told her to stay close to him. So from now on, she will even go to his office with him. Ming has no objection to this. The next morning, they go to the office together while holding each other's hands tightly. In fact, Nian doesn't let go of Ming's hand even for a moment. At one point, Ming says, "I need to go to the bathroom. If you still want to come with me, you don't have to let go of my hand. You can come with me." Hearing this, poor Nian becomes extremely embarrassed and quickly lets go of his hand. Then, at night, they watch a movie together with the lights turned off. Later, while trying to walk down the stairs in the dark, they accidentally fall onto each other, and somehow, their lips touch. Yes, they accidentally kiss. Although, honestly, I don't think this kiss was completely accidental, because in dramas like this, somehow the leads always end up kissing at the most unexpected moments. Anyway, after that kiss, Nian becomes so embarrassed that she can't sleep properly that night. The next morning, she is too shy to even face Ming. But despite being too embarrassed to meet him in person, the two of them continue chatting with each other on their phones. During the chat, Ming tells Nian that they should go out to watch a movie and have fun together that day. Meanwhile, Nian goes shopping. She is walking down the street while chatting with Ming on her phone. But suddenly, several men approach her, forcibly grab her and drag her into a car. And of course, this kidnapping was once again planned by Nian's stepmother. Later that evening, Ming buys a ring for Nian, but just then he receives a call from Nian's stepmother. She tells him, "If you want to see Nian alive, come to the address I'm sending you immediately." Hearing this, Ming puts the ring safely in his pocket and rushes to rescue Nian. When he reaches the location, he sees Nian's stepmother brutally abusing her. Ming Middle immediately tells her, "Don't hurt Nian, I'll give you whatever you want." But Nian's stepmother angrily replies that Ming and Nian have already taken everything away from her, so now she is going to destroy everything Nian has. With that, she suddenly throws Nian off the rooftop. At the same moment, Ming's men manage to catch Nian's stepmother, but Nian is already hanging from the side of the building. Ming desperately reaches out and somehow manages to pull her back up. Once Nian is safely on the rooftop, Ming hugs her tightly. He tells her, "I can't lose you, so before anything else happens, I want to tell you how I truly feel about you." Then Ming takes the ring out of his pocket and proposes to Nian. He asks her to marry him. Seeing this, Nian becomes incredibly happy and immediately accepts his proposal. Then, in the next scene, we see Nian and Ming shopping for their wedding outfits. When Nian finally comes out wearing her wedding dress and stands in front of Ming, he becomes completely mesmerized by her beauty. He can't take his eyes off her. And before he can control himself, Ming leans in and kisses Nian. But Nian quickly stops him and says, "Don't do this now, someone might see us." Hearing this, Ming suddenly starts pretending to be sick. Seeing Ming pretend to be sick, Nian becomes worried. She quickly goes over to him and, without thinking too much, kisses him. Then, in the next scene, we see Nian back at her house. Suddenly, Ming's uncle arrives and shows Nian the DNA test report. He tells her that Nian's mother and Ming's father had been in a relationship long before. However, Ming's grandfather never accepted their relationship. Eventually, Nian's mother got married. But even after her marriage, she once again became involved in an affair with Ming's father. Ming's uncle then shows Nian several pictures as proof. Seeing all of this, Nian becomes extremely upset. Until now, she had always believed that her mother was innocent. But now, it seems that her mother really had been hiding something. After that, Ming's uncle goes to meet Ming. He also shows him the DNA test report and tells him that he is not actually a biological member of their family. Hearing this, Ming asks him directly, "What do you want?" His uncle replies that he wants Ming to give up his claim to the company and all the family property and leave everything behind. The next day, Nian goes to meet her father. She asks him about her mother and wants to know the truth. This time, however, her father doesn't stay silent. Instead, he finally tells Nian everything. As it turns out, Nian's father once worked for Ming's grandfather's company. Then, one day, Ming's grandfather came to him and ordered him to marry the woman who was in love with his son. Nian's father had no choice but to agree. The truth is, he had already loved Nian's mother for a long time. So after they got married, he believed that he could finally build a life with her. But only a few days after their marriage, he discovered that Nian's mother was pregnant, and the child she was carrying was Nian. However, Nian's biological father was actually Ming's father. After learning all of this, Nian looks at her father in disbelief. She asks him, "You knew from the very beginning that I wasn't your biological daughter. Then why didn't you tell me the truth earlier?" With tears in her eyes, Nian leaves the house. She then goes to her mother's grave. Standing in front of her mother's grave, Nian breaks down completely. She says that she fought against the entire world just to prove that her mother was innocent. But now, because of her mother, she has been humiliated in front of the father she loved so much. And in the end, the person she loved has turned out to be her own brother. Nian starts crying uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Ming has secretly been watching her from a distance. That night, Nian returns home but doesn't say a single word to Ming. Seeing how devastated she is, Ming walks over and hugs her. Nian finally tells him that their relationship can never have a happy ending because they are brother and sister. Hearing this, Ming immediately tells her that he is not actually his father's biological son. Instead, his grandfather adopted him. Ming explains that after his father died, his uncle tried to take control of the entire family property. So, in order to protect the family's assets, Ming's grandfather adopted him and publicly claimed that he was his son's illegitimate child. That's why everyone had always believed that Ming was his father's biological son. Hearing this, Nian becomes extremely happy, because this means that she and Ming are not actually brother and sister. Nian immediately tells Ming not to worry and assures him that she will always stay by his side. But Ming then reveals another problem. His grandfather has told him that if he wants to protect the family property, he must marry another woman, and the two of them must continue pretending to be brother and sister. Hearing this, Nian becomes heartbroken all over again. She leaves the house in tears. While walking down the road, she suddenly feels dizzy and collapses. When Nian finally regains consciousness, she finds her mother's school's principal sitting in front of her. The principal gives Nian an old diary that belonged to her mother. Nian opens the diary and starts reading it. And through her mother's diary, she discovers something shocking about what happened after her mother's marriage. As Nian continues reading her mother's diary, she discovers something completely different from what everyone had believed. Her mother had never actually been involved in a relationship with Ming's father after her marriage. The truth was that Ming's uncle had deliberately drugged Nian's mother and sent her to Ming's father. Ming's father tried to help Nian's mother when he found her in that condition, but Ming's uncle used that moment to secretly take pictures of the two of them. He then spread those pictures everywhere and ruined their reputation. Unable to handle the humiliation and everything that had happened, Ming's father eventually took his own life. After learning the complete truth, Nian finally realizes that her mother was innocent all along, and Ming's father was innocent too. The next day, Ming holds a press conference with his grandfather to announce the wedding. But suddenly, Nian arrives at the press conference wearing her wedding dress. In front of everyone, she confidently announces that she is going to marry Ming. Hearing this, Ming's uncle immediately objects. He says that their marriage is impossible because Nian and Ming are brother and sister. But then Ming's grandfather reveals the truth. He explains that they are not biological siblings because Ming was actually adopted by him. Ming's uncle immediately points out that if Ming was adopted, then he should have no legal right to the company or the family property. Ming calmly replies that he doesn't care about the company or the property. For him, the most important thing in the world is Nian. Then, in the next scene, Nian talks privately with Ming's grandfather. She tells him that since she is also a member of the family, she can become the CEO of the company if he allows it. After hearing her idea, Ming's grandfather eventually agrees. He calls an official meeting and announces Nian as the new CEO of the company. However, Ming's uncle refuses to accept this. He once again claims that Nian's DNA report is fake, but Ming's grandfather immediately shuts him down. He says there is absolutely nothing wrong with the report because he personally arranged Nian's DNA test. Then Nian finally reveals the truth about the false accusations that had been placed on her biological parents. She exposes exactly how Ming's uncle manipulated the situation, drugged her mother, took those pictures, and destroyed the lives of innocent people. After hearing everything, Ming's uncle has nowhere left to escape. Ming's grandfather finally realizes the truth and removes his younger son from the company. And finally, Nian smiles. After everything she went through, she has finally succeeded in proving that both of her parents were innocent. However, Nian then tells Ming's grandfather that she doesn't actually want to become the CEO. She explains that she only accepted the position to expose the truth about his younger son and prove her parents' innocence. Now that she has accomplished what she wanted, she doesn't need the position anymore. Ming's grandfather doesn't stop her. Nian then leaves without telling Ming anything. Ming realizes that Nian is probably still upset with him. Meanwhile, while Nian is walking alone, her school principal suddenly approaches her. The principal tells her, "Go to your mother's grave immediately." Without asking any questions, Nian rushes to her mother's grave. When she arrives, she is surprised to see that the entire area in front of her mother's grave has been beautifully decorated. And then, Ming suddenly appears. He stands in front of Nian's mother's grave and apologizes to Nian. Since he knew Nian was angry with him, he had decided to apologize to her at the one place that meant the most to her. That's why he had beautifully decorated the area around her mother's grave. Seeing all of this, Nian becomes extremely happy. Then Ming takes out a ring, puts it on Nian's finger, and proposes to her. This time, there are no misunderstandings, no family secrets, and no one standing between them. Both of them are genuinely happy. Finally, Nian and Ming pray at her mother's grave. Then they hug each other and share a kiss. And with that beautiful and heartwarming moment, the drama finally comes to a happy ending.